Brazil last week. It's one of the most colorful and euphoric gatherings in the world. Millions came to the carnival in Rio de Janeiro. But in the northeast of the country, near the city of Recife, it's ground zero of the most serious public health emergency in the world right now. Here, there's an unusual increase in the number of cases of microcephaly among newborns. More than 3,100 babies in the last few months, with heads that are smaller than normal, impacting their overall development and health. It's a serious condition that cannot be cured. Many of the families are already poor and cannot afford all the necessary medication. The country's president, Dilma Rousseff, has promised that the government will do everything it can to help the families financially. And globally, efforts are underway to understand what's behind the outbreak. Last week, U.S. President Barack Obama suggested spending $1.8 billion to fight it. Right now, it's believed that the Zika virus, which is carried by mosquitoes, is responsible for brain defects, but it's not yet scientifically proven. Today on Talk to Al Jazeera, we travel to the center of the crisis to find out how the children and their parents are coping, whether they receive the help they've been promised. And we talk to a scientist about a possible way to stop the disease. Jacqueline Vieira is a 25-year-old mother who 3 months ago gave birth to a boy, Daniel, with microcephaly. She was infected with Zika when she was 2 months pregnant. She has another son, 4 years old. The father left her and the 2 children after Daniel was born. It's difficult for her to make ends meet. She's receiving no special help from the government, only a small pension she was awarded when she got sick with lung cancer. It was after she went into remission that she wanted to have another child.
Jacqueline.
Daniel is deaf in 1 ear and sees almost nothing out of his right eye. As in almost all cases, the birth of her baby was supposed to be a momentous and joyful occasion. She was shocked because she never suspected anything could go wrong. When did you find out that your baby was going to have a problem?
When I was 5 months pregnant, I did an ultrasound exam and they told me it was hydrocephaly. At 7 months, I did another exam and they found out it was microcephaly.
What did you think?
I was petrified, because by that point I didn't know. I knew about hydrocephaly, but I didn't know microcephaly existed. So I was really sad, because he was a son we were expecting so much. But thank God I have the strength to accept it, don't I?
Did you wonder why this had happened? I understand that you thought it was your fault at first.
Back then, I thought it was my fault because I'd had cancer. I had gone through chemotherapy. The month after I finished the therapy, I got pregnant. My doctors told me it could have happened because of that. Later, when he was born, I saw it wasn't the reason. It was this thing called Zika.
Well, tell me, what was the reaction of your family, of your husband?
He was like this. He didn't believe he would have had a child with special needs. Later, he couldn't stand it and left. We had an argument. My son got sick because the place where I used to live had no plaster, no proper floor. So at night, it got very humid. He got sick, very sick. I took him to the hospital and they saw he had had a lack of oxygen. So the doctor said that I should move out of the house. I told my husband we needed to leave, but he didn't want to. So he asked me to move and I left with my 2 kids.
Very difficult.
Yes, because I'm alone dealing with everything. The whole day, all the time, every single moment. My salary pays for everything. The water bill, electricity, the house, food, school, everything.
Do you have any special help at all?
No, no one helps me. It's just my salary, nothing else. If there is someone helping me, it's my mother. She never leaves us without support. But other people...
The government has promised to help the mothers with babies with microcephaly. Have you had any, have you approached the government, or has the government approached you?
No, we knew that we would be entitled to receive a minimum salary, but taking into consideration that I've been receiving health benefits from the government, the Social Security Institute won't accept a second health benefit under the same address. So in theory it's one thing, in real life it's something else. I have friends who went to apply for the benefit and they didn't get it. The lady, when I went to make an appointment, she told me on the phone, if you want to book it, you can do, but if you do, you won't get anything because you have yours already. She asked me if I want to book it, and I said, yeah, I'll go. Then she said, but bear in mind that you won't be entitled to get one for your kid because of your own benefit.
I imagine that having a baby with microcephaly does really change your life.
A lot, because the routine is completely different and I have another child who also needs me. So 24 hours of my day is for him. All the attention goes to him. I do everything for him. When he's sleeping, I'll do my things, but when he's awake, I'm with him. It's really complicated. It's changed my life completely.
Recife's Altino Ventura Foundation is one of the few rehabilitation centers where babies can get care. It is funded by donations. Mothers are coming with their babies from all over Pernambuco state, one of the poorest in Brazil. Some of them travel by bus for up to 17 hours every Thursday when they all meet. Now, with the epidemic, the foundation is running out of money, trying to help the enormous influx of mothers with babies who need special care. They have visibly smaller than normal heads, and therefore usually smaller brains. Some of them were born with hearing and vision problems. In fact, about 40% have scarring to the retina, which impairs vision and requires immediate physiotherapy to activate the eye muscles. Many of them have frequent seizures. There is no cure, only rehabilitation to help the children function better. Specialists show the mothers things they can do at home, like massaging the legs and arms. Most babies with microcephaly suffer from mild to severe stiffness in their arms and legs, which can be painful. The mothers have become close.
One mother helps the other one. One takes care of the other one. One gives support to the other one. We are campaigning against abortion because you have people willing to abort. So we are campaigning. They're angels. So we support one another and help each other out because they are special human beings. He can't be blamed for being born like this.
Nadia is 43 years old. She is married with 2 children, Jonathan, who is 15, and Alicia Vitoria, 3.5 months old. Only 2 weeks ago did doctors realize she was having constant seizures. She is now on very expensive medication that's reducing the seizures. She also has severe reflux and trouble eating. Nadia used to work in telemarketing and is supposed to go back to work in another month, which she says is now impossible. Why do you think your child was born with microcephaly? What do you think caused it?
What do I think caused it? At the bottom of my heart, honestly, I think it wasn't the mosquito, because I had red spots. I don't know if it was dengue fever or rubella. No, not rubella, because they did a test for it. I don't know what I got. I only know that I had spots, no fever, nothing else. That happened when I was 2 months pregnant. So for 5.5 months, she was perfect. So if it was the mosquito, she wouldn't develop. At that time, I would have lost the baby. That is the logic. I would have aborted with 2 months and she wouldn't have developed to 5.5 months. Until 5.5 months, everything was perfect. I did the morphologic exam, everything was perfect. So only after 5.5 months, she stopped developing? This is what I don't understand.
How has all this impacted your life personally and that of your whole family?
Oh, it changed a lot. Every single thing. I don't have time for anything. I am always rushing to resolve things. My time is limited because of her. I don't know how I'll be able to work because my maternity leave finishes now. I don't know how it's going to be. If I will need to resign from my job, I don't know. My life stopped. I am here only looking after her.
And your family?
In my family, the only one who helps me is my mother. My sister works. My son was helping me until yesterday, but he went to school this morning. My husband arrives in the afternoon, so it's only me. Me and my mother. She is diabetic and now is helping me constantly. There are days that her insulin level is really high and she needs to stay with her.
And I imagine that financially it must be quite a burden. The medicine, going to the hospital all the time, it's not easy.
Nem se fale. Em relação às...
Don't even mention that. All my debts are accumulated there in a folder. I didn't manage to pay anything. The medicine is expensive. The government is not giving anything. There is a medicine here that she needs to take. She cannot miss it. There are 14 pills per box. That costs $20. So I bought 2 boxes last month. This is just one of the medicines she cannot miss. Apart from that, there are eye drops the doctor said she needs to use. Not to mention a medicine for her nose. So I need to stop paying my bills so I can buy things for her. Also, diapers, milk. She was taking a special milk.
Ela estava usando leite especial, que era Pitamil.
Are you receiving any help from the government? The president promised on national television that she would help every single mother with a child with microcephaly. Are you getting that help?
Não. Veja só.
No, I will tell you. We went to the Social Security Department to request her benefit. We arrived there, I managed to fill the papers, and the interview is scheduled for April. But they told me that it won't be accepted as I have a job. So she won't be entitled to have this benefit. I work. Now I'm on maternity leave, but I work under all the regulations. But even with just minimum salary, they told me she is not entitled to help. So in April, we will have the examiner check her and see if it's approved or not. Only God knows if she is going to receive the money. That would be an extra salary if we receive it. Until then, I need to improvise. How is that possible? I am not paying my bills. Electricity wasn't paid, water, health insurance, it all needs to be paid. Everything.
How do you imagine your baby in the future, your child? How would she grow up?
Eu não tenho muita esperança.
Look, I don't have too much hope. I get sad. I cry sometimes because I don't know how tomorrow will be. Because I ask the doctors, I say, "Doctor, can she die any time?" She doesn't know the answer. How long will she live? How many years does she have? The doctors don't know this answer, so I don't have much hope. Do you understand me? I don't have it. Honestly, I don't have it. I don't make plans. I don't plan the future.
Sinceramente, eu não tenho. Eu não faço planos. Eu não faço.
I can only think about the present because tomorrow, I don't know if she's going to be alive. I don't know.
You love your daughter, don't?
Eu tô fazendo
I am doing the impossible for her. There are things that are not up to me, you know? Only God knows what really happened, why she was born that way. I get sad when I see all the other babies, all perfect when I walk down the street. And I ask myself, why only with me, God? What have I done to deserve it? I did everything right. I went through all the exams. I took all the vaccines. Everything was perfect, but at the end, it's like a hopeless fight. Do you understand it?
Agora só Deus mesmo. Só Deus.
And your husband, what did he say?
Ele não se conforma.
He can't take it. He is getting depressed now. He can't take it. He cries sometimes. I found him crying when no one was looking at him. He doesn't accept it. He thinks it's not real. He can't understand why that is happening to him. Do you understand?
Ele trabalha no aeroporto. Ele vai de bicicleta.
He works at the airport and leaves at 4 a.m. to be there by 5. He finishes at 1, then rides the bicycle back home in the heat. He takes the bicycle because he leaves the bus card with me. She doesn't have a bus card yet. It's all a sacrifice.
É tudo sacrifício. Vai ter que ir. É fácil.
Dr. Alex Sosa performs ultrasound examinations and has had to tell many pregnant women that their children will not be born healthy. Dr. Sosa, how difficult is it for you to break the news to these mothers that their child will be born with microcephaly?
Uma sensação extremamente ruim.
It's a very difficult experience because you bring the news to her, to the patient, for the first time, saying that your child has a disease that can't be treated.
A gente fica com a sensação de incapacidade.
We feel like we are incapable. We can't help much. in reality, there is nothing more we can do. So we can help giving some medical assistance, but treating and telling her how this child will develop, I mean, our hands are tied. It's really sad to see a mother in that situation. How she's going to behave with this child. How she's going to deal with this child too. So we struggle. We struggle here because we don't have the psychological support.
You've been doing this for years, but have you ever seen anything similar to a crisis like this?
Não, a crise em relação a malformações.
No, a crisis in connection with malformation, not really. In the past, we had problems with thalidomide. It was a medicine that caused many cases of malformation. But once you stop using that, it's fine. The malformation will no longer occur. But when we're talking about Zika, we are not able to interrupt the cycle of the virus, so it's a big crisis.
I imagine this has caught you all absolutely by surprise. How many babies, or rather how many mothers, do you examine per day, and how many of them do you believe or suspect have microcephaly?
É mais ou menos o seguinte, a gente faz mais ou menos em torno de 15 exames.
It's pretty much like this. We have more or less 15 exams per day here. Out of those 15 exams, we have an average of 5 exams with patients with suspected Zika virus. Patients who had a rash on the skin, but with microcephaly, I believe we have 1 new case every week.
Microcefalia mesmo, acredito que nós temos em torno de caso por semana.
Zika is a mosquito-borne virus that was first identified in Uganda in 1947 in monkeys. It was subsequently identified in humans in 1952. It's transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which usually bites during the morning and late afternoon or evening hours. The incubation period is a few days. The symptoms are similar to other mosquito-borne infections such as dengue, and include fever, skin rashes, conjunctivitis, muscle and joint pain, malaise, and headache. These symptoms are usually mild and last for 2 to 7 days, and for healthy adults, no specific treatment is required. But according to the World Health Organization, scientists investigating the Zika outbreak are finding an increasing body of evidence linking Zika and microcephaly. However, they say more investigation is needed before the relationship between microcephaly in babies and the Zika virus is fully confirmed and understood. And other potential abnormalities are also being investigated. Meanwhile, scientists are exploring different methods to stop the spread of the disease. Professor Margaret Capurro and her team at the Institute of Biomedicine at Sao Paulo University, for example, have developed a new genetically modified male mosquito that, unlike another one created by a British company, sterilizes the female mosquito, making it unable for it to lay larvae. This genetically modified mosquito should be ready to be on the market within a year. Because the mosquito can transmit other diseases like dengue, stopping the mosquito could stop several types of viruses.
So the idea is, if you have the vaccines for the disease, it's perfect because the vaccines can help a lot, but the vaccine is for one disease. If you control the mosquitoes, you control all the disease that these mosquitoes can transmit.
That's your area of expertise, genetically modified mosquitoes. Tell me a bit more about that.
We came with this concept to produce a male that has a defect in the spermatozoid. So, when this male mate with the female, is no offspring at all, and there's no larvae, and the female is going to be sterile for the rest of the life.
The female becomes sterile for the rest of her life?
Yes, yes.
But what is the downside? I mean, a lot of people are wondering, is this really such a silver bullet, or is there a negative aspect to this?
It's not a danger. It's like the way that I see it, some people say the gene can stop to work or they can become resistant for the antidote or for something like that. It's the same if you develop a new insecticide. If you have a chemical insecticides, we know that you are going to select the resistance. So for the transgenic line, what we do, we have the same thing. We have this one, and we not stop to do the new research. We still need to produce new transgenic lines that has a different goal. And if you have something wrong with the first one, you can substitute the line. If you have a better line, you can substitute anytime. This is the idea, is how the science works. If you think how many insecticides we have right now or how many larvicides we have, is a chemical. The people get used to have a chemical. If I say I am producing a new chemical that kills mosquitoes, everybody is saying, oh, this is very, very good. This chemical can be very toxic.
But can the remedy be worse than the disease?
We need to finish them. I know it's the disease in the end of the tunnel, but if you finish the roots, you put down the tree. Okay, this is the idea. And and Zika is the people. I don't think that the people will was thinking that Zika was very, very strong virus, and we learned that it's very, very difficult because the disease in the most of the cases is not that bad. It's a light dengue. Okay, yes. Chikungunya is much worse than dengue and Zika if you get sick. But now the consequence for Zika is very, very bad.
In the case of dengue fever and malaria, if you've had it before and you catch it again, it's much, much worse. Is this also the case with Zika?
The Zika, we really don't know. Apparently, is one virus only. And then if you get one time, that's it, apparently. But Zika for us is very, very new. We have much more questions than answers at this point. We have right now in Brazil a group of scientists that we are trying to understand everything that we can, because everything is very, very new. We knew that Zika virus existed, but nobody worked with Zika virus, because it was in Africa, very contempt, is over there, just the Africans work with those viruses, nobody was working. For us, it's very dangerous to bring a virus to a country that has no epidemics and start to work. Even with all the security, you can have some leaking and you can start the epidemics in the country. Then the scientist doesn't work with things that we don't have here.
Some would argue that if you get rid of all the mosquitoes, you might be interfering with the ecosystem and it might be worse.
The Aedes aegypti is not, the ecosystem for aegypti is the cities. It's not ecosystem. Okay, if you talk with me about eliminate malaria mosquitoes from Amazonia, they make part of the ecosystem. Over there, you need to eliminate the disease, for sure, okay? You can use the mosquitoes to has better blocking for the malaria, but it's going to be very, very difficult because they are wild mosquitoes. They are sylvatic mosquitoes. The aegypti is completely different. Aegypti is a city mosquitoes. You cannot find mosquitoes in the forest. Like if you look at the University of São Paulo, that is a very nice campus with a lot of trees. They don't live here. They don't like it.
So the world can live without the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, is that
yes,
correct?
For sure, for sure.
And while scientists in Brazil and elsewhere try to learn more and come up with something that will stop the spread of the disease, the mothers in Recife's Altino Ventura Foundation are dealing with one basic fact that won't change no matter what scientists find out. Their children will need help for the rest of their lives.